Hello, thank you for joining this month's Connect with Control session. My name is Trinidad Gaitan and I'll be your facilitator for this webinar. Today we'll demonstrate new scheduling enhancements that were introduced in version 9.21. We have three presenters today from the Control support team, Jose Miguel Gallardo Garrido, Jason McGalish, and Andrew Taylor. We recommend going to full screen mode during this presentation by pressing the full screen button. For any questions you may have during the presentation, please post them in the Q&A pod. We'll be addressing your questions at the end of the session. Today we'll demonstrate the topics you see here. With reference subfolder, this allows you to reuse existing jobs. So instead of copying and pasting jobs from one folder to another, you can now reference these jobs instead. Variable value with if action, previously known as onDo, allows you to control the next job action based off a dynamic value in the job output. And the bridge option and adjust condition will help to maintain your job flow on days where not all jobs are scheduled. For the days that jobs are not scheduled, Control-M can bridge the conditions between the scheduled jobs. Afterwards, we'll take your questions during the Q&A session and we'll give you the opportunity to provide your feedback. For our first demonstration, Jose will demonstrate how to reuse jobs from an existing smart folder with the reference subfolder. Jose, please go ahead.
Thank you, Drini. Today I will show you a new feature called Reference Folders and Jobs that was added in Control-M 9.21. This feature is available in both the server and web interface. For this demo, I will use the web interface. This new Reference Folders and Jobs feature will allow you to reuse a set of jobs in a smart folder or a specific job in a smart folder in different workflows without the need to copy those jobs and creating duplicates. With this feature, you will only need to maintain one version. Let me show you an example before we dive into the demonstration. Here I have a smart folder called Backup, which runs some backup jobs, and another smart folder called Utilities, with 4 jobs that run different utilities. Now, here we have a smart folder called Connect with Control-M that needs to run every day. Let's say before we run this workflow, we need to do a backup successfully and run a cleanup job afterwards. Before 9.21, the only way to accomplish this will be by copying the jobs from backup smart folder and edit it in the Connect with Control-M smart folder. Same thing goes for the cleanup job that needs to run after the workflow. If you keep doing this in other workflows that needs a backup and cleanup done, it will create many duplicates of these jobs. With reference folder feature in Control-M 9.21, we do not have to copy the backup and cleanup jobs because we will have many duplicates. Instead, we can reuse the same jobs by adding subfolder with reference to the backup smart folder and cleanup jobs. As you can see, the workflow is much simpler, and you will only need to maintain one copy of the backup and cleanup jobs. Now I will demonstrate how we can create these reference folders in Control-M Web Client. Now I will open my backup folder from Folders and Jobs. Here is the folder that I want to reference in my main workflow. Let's open my Connect with Control-M smart folder and unlock this folder by clicking on Modify. In this workflow Connect with Control-M, we want to make sure the backup jobs run before the Connect with Control-M jobs starts running. With reference folder feature in 9.21, we do not have to copy the jobs from backup to the Connect with Control-M workflow and create duplicates. Instead, I will create a new subfolder. We will call it backup_Connect with Control-M. I want to make sure this executes before the first job in Connect with Control-M. So let's go ahead and link this subfolder as a predecessor to the first job, date job. Let's rearrange the workspace. Here is a new button called Reference. I will click on this button, and now we have a new field called Reference Path. Here I need to put the name of the smart folder I want to reference. Let's go back to workspace 1 and copy the name of the smart folder we want to use as a reference, which is backup. Now I will copy the name of the folder into the reference path field. Now we have a new button called View Reference. Clicking on View Reference button will open a new workspace with the folder that I reference. As you can see, here in the original backup smart folder, we have a variable called server name. This variable is used in my jobs to know which server they need to copy. Let's go back to the workspace 2, where we are building the connect with controlling workflow. We will need to define the same variable, server name, in the backup underscore connect with controlling reference subfolder. I will create a new variable here called server name and add connect with controlling server as the value. Now that we have the prerequisite reference folder added to the connect with controlling workflow, I want to add a single cleanup job that runs after the connect with controlling workflow ends. So after my job 5, I will open my utilities folder and I want to run the cleanup underscore util job. I will copy the name of the smart folder. Let's add a new subfolder here. We will call this subfolder utilities underscore connect with controlling. Let's link the last job, my job 5 of the workflow, to this subfolder. We will go ahead and rearrange this workspace. Now we can click here to enable the reference. For the reference path, we need the name of the smart folder where our cleanup job exists. Let's go back to the utilities smart folder. The cleanup job that I want to use at the end is this. Let's copy the name of this job. Let's go back to the workspace 2. The way to use a single job in your reference path is to add a forward slash after the smart folder name and then the job name. So in this scenario, our reference path will be utilities forward slash cleanup underscore util, which is the job that we want to run. Now I will do the checking for this workspace to store the data in the database. Now I will run my workflow to check how it's working. Let's go to the monitoring domain by clicking on monitoring. Now I will open my viewpoint. And here we can see my workflow with the reference folder and the reference job. Now I will check my job create underscore backup to check the value of the variable that I set. I will open the job output, and as we can see, the variable takes the right value, connect with controlling server. And if I check the events under job setting prerequisites, we can see that the events have a number at the end. This is because reference folders and jobs flows are ordered as independent flow. This concludes my reference folders and jobs demo for this webinar. Now back to you, Trini.
Thank you, Jose, for showing how to use a reference subfolder. In our next demo, we'll show how to use a dynamic value from a job's output to determine the next action in a job flow. We have Jason who is going to lead us through this demonstration. Jason, please go ahead.
Thank you, Trini, for that introduction. I am Jason, and I'll be explaining the new Control-M 9021 onVariableValueDo feature. This feature will give you more control over what action Control-M server will perform depending on the job output. As an example, let's say as a scheduler, I need to control which job flow is activated based on the output of a job. Now I can take the capture from a job output and put that into a variable and utilize it with the new variable value if action to trigger a specific workflow. In this demonstration, I will capture the output from a job into a variable. Then I will show how this variable can be used with the new variable value if action to determine which post-processing action the Control-M server will take. First, let's review the random numgen job. Here we can see that it is an OS job. And here we can see the file name that it will execute on the agent. Now let's review that on the agent side. This is the script that we'll be executing that generates a random number between 1 and 10. And here we can see when it executes, it will output in a format of number equals number. We can also review how this output will look from the monitoring domain. Here in the output, it's very similar to what we saw in the agent, where it will show the script that's running, the echo of the output, and then the output. Now let's go back to the planning domain to set up the capture from job output for a random numgen job. We'll select the job and go to the Actions tab and go to Capture from Job Output. For this example, I will use random number. This is going to be a local variable, but there are also some other options. Move to the end of below string. As we saw earlier, the output is going to be number equals and then the integer. We can review that real quick. You can see the format's going to be like this. So we're going to want to go to the end of the number equals string. We will not need to use a forward line or words for this. The delimiter will be white space, space or tab. For this one, we don't actually need a delimiter. In the capture, there are some options up to the end of the line, number of words. For this one, we just need to go up to the end of the line. Now that we have the capture from job output configured, we can move on to the new feature, which is the variable value if action, and utilize the random number that we just set up. Under if actions, we're going to go to add. Here, for the if option, we will go to variable value. The variable name will be the one that we just set up, random number. Under the value, there are a lot of different options. These are for integers. Down below, we have some options for string operators. As we're dealing with an integer, we are going to go with less than or equal. And for this option, we're going to go with 5. For the action, I want to add an event. The name of the event is going to be less than 5. This will be used later to kick off the less than job. Now that we have the less than or equal to 5 variable value action set up, let's set up another for greater than 5. Again, we're going to go to add under if actions. Under the if, we're going to go with variable value. The variable name is going to be random number. For value, for this one, we will want to use greater than. We're going to go with 5 for the value. And again, we're going to set up another event. This event is going to be greater than 5. So this will create an event that's used for the greater than job. We'll click OK. Now we're going to add the prerequisite events to the greater than and less than jobs. To do this, we will select the job. We will go to the prerequisites tab. We are going to add a wait for event. The name will be greater than 5, and we will want to delete this after. So we'll select yes there. Now let's do the same for the less than job. We'll select the job. We are already on the prerequisites tab, so we will add the wait for event. This event is going to be less than 5. And we were going to also want to delete this after. Now we need to check in the connect test folders so that we can run everything. Click the check in button. And now we should be able to run the job. Now we will click run workspace. We'll go with the defaults and click run again at the bottom. Now the jobs are running. Now let's go to the monitoring domain and review the results. Click on the random num_gen job. In the output, we can see that the number outputted was 2. Let's review the log. Here we can see that the event less than 5 was added. And because of that, the less than 5 job ran. And we can see when it ended that the event was removed. So the event is no longer there. This concludes the onDo variable feature presentation. Now back to Trini.
Thank you, Jason, for showing how to use the variable value with if action. Next up, Andrew Taylor will demonstrate how to use the bridge option to bridge a job's dependencies when the predecessor job is not scheduled to run. Andrew, please go ahead.
Thanks, Trini. Today I will be showing the new option for adjusting events added in version 9.0.21, that being the Adjust Events Bridge option. As an admin, I need to run jobs on days when its prerequisite job is not scheduled to run. Here, we have a workflow of 3 jobs. The first starting needed scripts to begin our company's daily production processing. The second for backups that require the previous scripts to have finished before running. And lastly, the reporting job. Recently, the job for backups was changed to only running on weekends at the request of our database admin, as shown here in the view schedule where only Saturdays and Sundays are selected. The job owners still need the start scripts job to run every day, in addition to the reporting job to let them know the scripts and, when run on the weekends now, backups are completed. We can ensure this by using adjust events, also known as adjust conditions in previous releases of Control-M. In Control-M version 9.0.21, the option to select bridge was added for adjust events on smart folders. First, as shown here, bridge must be selected for the smart folder so that on days when prerequisite jobs are not ordered, Control-M will automatically adjust conditions to ensure dependent jobs will still run. Finally, let's see this in action after ordering these jobs and viewing them in monitoring. As you can see, with bridge selected, Control-M has created out and in conditions between the start scripts job and end reporting job. Another benefit is that this new option does not require additional configuration as the dummy option. Looking at the log, we can see the conditions that were added, the ones that will be deleted for normal operation, and also that it noted that these were added for the adjust bridge condition. Also, it should be noted if you do have the ctm_folder_adjust_dummy option set to Y, that the functionality of the bridge option will be different than intended. So it is advised to have the ctm_folder_adjust_dummy set to N when using the bridge option. And with that, thank you, and back to you, Trini.
Thank you, Andrew, for showing how to use the bridge option with adjust condition. All right, everyone, that concludes our session for today. On behalf of Jose, Jason, Andrew, and the entire Connect with Control-M team, thank you for spending some time with us today. We look forward to you taking advantage of features that we saw today in your environment. Stick around for the Q&A session where we will take your questions. But first, you can learn more about the BMC Education course Control-M Fundamental Scheduling by clicking the link in the link section below, or you can visit the bit.ly link you see on the screen. Your feedback shapes our future webinars. We would appreciate if you will take a moment and answer a few questions for us in the survey that you will receive later today. You can find Control M on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Links for each can be found in the links section below. You can watch previous webinars on the Control M channel on YouTube. Today's webinar will be posted there within a couple of days. And let's kick off the Q&A. As a reminder, you can enter your questions on the Ask the Question section at any time.